Jazz hands? Is this how you do the jazz hands?
Jazz? Don't. Never mind. Hi.
What?
I'm Brig. This is Lex.
Lex. The guy who doesn't know what jazz hands are apparently. But
says he doesn't know.
Anyway, DNS. We're going to do it?
Yeah, we're going to do it.
All right, DNS. Let's start talking a little bit about...
Okay, we're just going to start out with some tools. Because the one thing that we hear most often is the computer name mismatch. And luckily, we have created a target computer name mismatch.
You guys don't know how tough it was for him to do that this morning. They've engineered this to work well, and
I couldn't get the Windows 10 machines to do it, so I eventually I did it here.
Had to do it.
And the only thing that I did is so there's the D7 Labo 2 and Labo 3. I just simply reversed those IP addresses. So one's 81 and one's 80, and I just made the other one 80 and 81. So that's typically like how you would see that, is it just has the wrong IP address. So we have now an error.
We had an error. So typically the best, I love Nslookup, Nbtstat, and one that we're going to introduce, well, it's not really an introduce, it's been around a long time, but we'll talk about dig.
Yep.
So let's
just bring up command prompt, and then I'm going to do an Nslookup, and then I'm going to just check out that first, that's Labo 2, and that's AA. Okay, so that's the IP address that we're receiving back from the DNS server.
So basically Nslookup is like looking in the phone book.
Yep.
Where is it?
Oh, who is this? Oh, this is the address that they are at.
Okay, so you get the address, but now walking up and knocking on the door, that would be your Nbtstat at this point.
Yep. Now, there's a difference between the capital A and the little a. The little a is if you're going to use a name, which we've already done with the Nslookup. The capital A is for an IP address, which is what we're going to do here. So now we just take this IP address that was returned here from the DNS server, and we're just going to put that in there. 192. Okay, numlock.
Click on it. Okay.
Oh, I gotta click.
There. Okay, now do it. There.
Hey! Things
remedial computing.
Woohoo! I have a basic awareness of sound and light. Congratulations, Brett. All right. So now this comes back as, oh, look. So we did a lookup here for the Labo 2, but this is actually comes back as Labo 3. Okay. So now we've discovered that there is a mismatch.
So basically we went to the address, knocked on the door, and instead of, like, if Brig was supposed to be there, I answered the door, you realized, hey, we got that.
Oh, I have the wrong one. Yep. So now you know that this is the actual...
We've got a DNS issue.
Yes, we have a DNS
issue.
Now,
normally this takes, 6 or 8 hours of troubleshooting everything else in the world to find.
That's it.
Isn't it, normally?
Well, no.
For me, it does.
Okay.
I'm like, dang it, Brig, what's going on?
Yeah, like you can take up to an hour to figure out what's going on with this, but yes, definitely, this is the easiest way of discovering it. Now, of course, there's still a problem because we don't know where Lab 02 really actually is. But now we could fix that. So what we can do here is go to the DNS server and say like, oh, okay, so we know that the D7 Labo 2 is actually something else, but we know that Labo 3 is definitely that. We can fix this in our DNS server. So this is what we're
at this point you would fix this. Problem goes away.
Yeah, say like, okay, so that, oops. So I know that this here, Labo 3, is going to be at the 81. So now you say, all right, I know what that is. So Labo 3, that's 81. There's already an 81, so chances are probably pretty good, since I already, of course, told you that I'd switched them, that we could just change that, and then that will fix itself.
So you can change that. I mean, if you were to, let's say that you switched IPs, flushing your DNS on your console, would that fix that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things you could try. You could try flushing the DNS on the console, which is just ipconfig flush DNS. And, of course, we have tools that will do that. And then the other thing is to, on any of those machines, is to just go ahead and do an IP config release renew. Release renew.
So you need to actually get to those machines remotely to do that. And since you've got the IP of them, you can go to the IP to run it. PowerShell?
There's some PowerShell stuff. Before we do the PowerShell thing, though, I do want to talk about one other tool, and that's called dig.
Oh, I love dig.
Yep. So we've got a KB out there that I created, so I apologize if there's spelling errors or anything like that. It was kind of late. But you can install dig, and the KB explains on how to do that. I have actually made that part of the path, I would hope, that I've done that. But you can use dig to do the same thing. Yay, it works. Dig is a tool that comes, with ISE's bind 9, so you can download it.
It is not native to Windows, so
no.
download that.
Unless you do the subsystem.
That's right.
The
Linux.
Linux subsystem for Windows 10. Comes with that. And then Jordan's going to talk here in a minute about some tools, some really cool PowerShell tools that...
Before I do that, just with Dig, you can actually install that on PowerShell as well, which means when you run it, it will return it as an object, which so you can actually interact with it a little bit more as well.
Nice.
You can dig up.
You can dig
on PowerShell, huh?
And you know what dig stands for?
I'm afraid.
Domain Information Groper.
Well, now.
Yes. Yes.
That kind of fits well with our title of 53 Shades of DNS.
I know, that's what I was thinking too.
That's awesome.
Bind, dig, it's awesome.
Okay, so dig reminds me a lot of like expressions, regular expressions.
Regular expressions, yeah.
I always have to pull up the cheat sheet to do it because there's so many.
Yeah, and the installation guide that's in there does not talk about like using dig or the usability of dig, but there are so many really good how-tos out there. In fact, actually, if you want an external one, Google has their own version of dig that you can use for external stuff. But it's pretty good. So like I can look at MX records for all kinds of things, and I get MX records for like Google, Microsoft, and then it's really good for internal stuff as well because you can get pretty nitty gritty and see exactly what that zone file is, rather than having to go into all of the directories.
You'd basically be seeing zone file entries at that point.
Exactly. Yep, you're seeing exactly what's being returned data-wise to any sort of like query that you make. So dig is a pretty useful tool. Jordan, did you want to come and show some PowerShell-y stuff?
Oh, I always want to show PowerShell stuff.
PowerShell-y?
PowerShell-y.
I like it.
I like it.
Hop on up there.
All right.
I'm just going to stand here and do what I do best. Drink and look stupid.
All right.
Okay.
I guess first thing I need to do is open up PowerShell.
Is that what you do?
That is mandatory.
All right, so
All right,
basically,
so-
what is it you're going to be doing with PowerShell?
So it's PowerShell has a built-in similar tool. I think it's in 3 or greater. I'm
Okay.
not 100% on that. But the first thing you need to do is it's just a command similar to Nslookup. It's called resolve-DNS name.
Okay.
It does a lot of the similar things. Let's type that up real quick. It's similar to Nslookup, but one thing it does do is it follows Windows procedure, so
Okay.
it will look at the host file first before it goes to the DNS,
Okay.
which is useful if you have an administrator that's using a host file, I assume because you wronged him in a previous life.
Or hates you, or you've had your browser jacked or something like that. Yeah.
Yep, but it just has some other built-in features that are kind of nice, like you can just go with a type, or you can do cache only, where it's not going to query DNS, but only basically what's cached on that machine. So if you have a bad cache, it's a good way to
Oh, good
troubleshoot
way to
that.
determine that. Yeah.
And as always with PowerShell, it puts everything out as an object, so you can interact with it and do things based on the results you get from that one.
Okay.
Other than that, it's very similar in.
So
Go ahead.
you said you can load dig from PowerShell?
If you have chocolate ready to go, there's you could just basically invoke expression for the install file. It's on Chocolaty's website. I don't know
You grab it. Grab
off the top of my
dig.
head, yeah, but it will put dig right on there, and it works exactly the same. But once again, it gives you object response. And then just because of my Exchange background, this is MX files what I'm always looking for. So it's very similar to Nslookup. I just think it's a little bit more diverse, and the output you can do more with.
More PowerShell-y.
Yep, and because of PowerShell, better.
But, is that? Okay.
really?
You're down.
That was a throwdown. All right, so
I actually would agree that PowerShell's pretty good.
I'm
But
not
better
gonna
than
argue.
what?
Better than what, Jordan?
Better than all things.
Okay, so
Chocolate sundae? I think not.
you might have a point.
Bottle of whiskey?
Definitely not.
Okay.
All right, so we found it. We can go release and renew on the remotes to update DNS
Yes.
and that. And then
Yep.
the other thing's kind of interesting, reverse lookups.
Yeah, reverse
Okay,
lookups.
PTR records,
Yeah.
pointers.
So that's probably. There is one caveat that I do want to explain. If you're going to do a release and renew, and you're going to do that remotely, or if you're going to do that on anything like that, you want to make sure that when you do an ipconfig release, you do an ampersand ipconfig renew. So release and then renew.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't want to just do a release. I have done this.
Whoopsie.
I have done this, and you're just like, oh, I lost internet connection. Oh, I lost network connection. Oh, it's coming.
It's got a new IP
It never
now.
comes back. It just never comes back. You get that RDP session screen, and it's just like 1 of 20, and then you're 19 of 20. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna have to go physically.
I did that again.
I did that. Yes. So I've done this a
Yeah.
lot. So just want to make sure if you do that, you just combine those commands.
We have any questions?
Yeah.
Dear Lex and Brig, if your server team is full of not the good kind of lazy admins, what are the best ways to mitigate DNS problems in PDQ when you don't have permissions to actually fix DNS? Thanks, Tiffany G.
Oh, host file.
I was going to say a really good host file.
Host file, of course. No, I'm kidding. No.
That will fix
That will
the
fix
issue
stuff. That will.
until it creates more
Until it creates
issues.
issues.
But yeah.
Oh, let's see. Your server team. So really, it's kind of a layer 8 problem. Not the good kind of lazy
PEBCAC?
admins. Yeah. Well, no, not really PEBCAC because
If they're not good at changing, it's definitely a PEBCAC.
What kind of admin is that? Is that just a lazy admin that doesn't know how to automate?
Or is it just like a
Probably, yeah.
lazy admin that just doesn't want to do anything for you?
What is that?
Bribery, that works.
Actually, I'm thinking that the joke of a host file is actually kind of accurate. But the problem is that you've got DHCP, and if they're going to update dynamically, then
Yeah,
that's
the
not gonna
second
work
it
for
changes,
you.
yeah.
I don't know. Is there a way that you can bribe?
Email, because then
Yeah.
you get a paper trace, right? I mean, I hate
Yep.
to say that, but
Yeah.
you get a paper trace. Show Nslookup, show Nbtstat.
Yeah.
Show them your dig.
Yeah, exactly. Like here's my evidence of a problem that needs to be fixed. That's what I would say.
There you go. Fix it. Yeah.
Because it really is a kind of a layer 8 problem. If you don't have anything that you can do for DNS, and we're dependent on DNS, because the way we do resolution is through a .NET, which is the same as Windows resolution, which is localhost, host file, DNS, and the NetBIOS. So there we go.
This is a very common problem
It
where
is.
the headquarters, the admin is so far removed back at HQ, they're in charge of DNS and they won't modify their scavenging. We've got some workarounds, everything from if you can flush your DNS, but honestly, you do the multiple endpoints in both products, allow it to traverse multiple endpoints so that endpoints that have multiple DNS records, instead of us just trying the first one, we will keep trying to find one until we either exhaust all of the entries or one returns.
Yeah.
Right here.
So go ahead and show that
Yeah.
the programs.
Right there. That test multiple addresses and name resolution. So it'll start scrolling through until it gets an answer.
We do some crafty fallback stuff too. So in case
Crafty? Gotta
we
do
do
like this, we're gonna do
some
crafty.
crafty
So
fallback.
another thing, if they are lazy admins, they're not going to want to respond to an issue. So if you have well-documented responses from all that and send it to them, eventually they're probably going to give you the access to get you to leave them alone.
There you go.
Oh, that's right. If you just would let me do this,
I
you
can
don't have
fix
to
it
do
for
it.
you, yeah.
Yeah. That's lazy in the bad
Find
way.
the good lazy admin.
Yes.
I'm the
you
good
are
lazy admin, yes.
The good lazy. All right.
PTR records.
PTR records.
Okay, so yeah, forward lookups, PTR pointers for reverse lookups. So
Yep.
we look it up by name, you get an IP address.
Yep.
Let's
Name
look
IP.
up a name.
Reverse is IP to name.
Yep.
And they don't necessarily need to match. Because there will be instances where you're like, hey, I'm going to look at this particular address, like on the internet. And you do, I don't know, like lex.com.
Okay.
And you look at lex.com and it goes, oh, yeah, there's the IP address. But then you do a reverse lookup and you find out that it goes to Amazon AWS, because it's just an aggregator or whatever like that. So they can be different, but typically in your environment, they should not be
They
different.
should match, yes.
In most cases. You can,
Now, an interesting thing about Windows is by default, that's not set up. You have to go set that
Yeah.
up.
So RFC 1912 specifies that you should have an A record, forward record, and then you should have a PTR record that also points back to that A record. The bad thing about that is that they didn't make it an internet standard, so people are like, it's optional.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion.
You actually keep that in your mental
Yes.
Rolodex in 1912?
Yeah, it's section 2.1.
All right, game on. I want to see it.
Okay.
I want to see section
All right.
2.1 if
I'm
all of a
wrong-
sudden
if I'm wrong,
you're
I have
so
to drink.
confident I'm not betting anything, man. RFC 1912. Yeah, section what? Did you say?
2.1. Just every internet host, blah blah blah. For every IP address, there should be a matching PTR record in the
All right.
the in address.
I'm not
arbitrary.
arguing with your 1912 space. I don't 1918, but 1912. Okay.
Right. So this is and because Microsoft doesn't do this right out of the box. So if you I'm going to set up an Active Directory domain and do everything like that. And you've got your forward zones, everything like that. That does not automatically create those PTR records for you.
You should
Those
do
zones.
that, though. You absolutely should do that.
Yes, it is important. And there's a couple of things, a couple of caveats. When you're setting this up, and you do this, we've talked about this in the other videos, make sure that you update associated PTR records on this.
Absolutely.
You only have to do it with one, and it applies to all of them from now on. But for instance, we have all of these, and these are our pointer records. So now we've got IP addresses associated with actual names. So, and having that done makes things better.
Better?
A lot better, yeah.
Better. Good?
Yeah. Especially,
as opposed to bad.
as opposed to bad.
Okay.
Yes. So, and then just a couple of people were always like, well, why is it so, is it because why are the IPs reversed and everything like that? And I'm like, well, it's reversed because it goes from the least important octet to the most important octet, and then the in address ARPA is just a special domain that was designated back in the ARPA days. So that's the only reason. But creating one, super easy. New zone, you can create just the primary zone. It's going to be reverse, and then to all DNS servers next, and then reverse zone.
Do you have to type it in backwards?
Nope. You type it in, so like 192.168.
Okay, so you see right
56.
here, it's just
Yep.
inverting all that for us.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. And then next, I don't know where my mouse went. It's somewhere.
Click. There. Oh, there it
we
is.
go.
All right.
I'm just going to click.
I'm clicking.
There we go. And then allow the secure dynamic updates, and then next, and finish.
Boom. There it is.
Yep.
Let's take a question.
Yep.
Dear Lex and Brig, I have to flush DNS often due to VPN users. Should I be flushing DNS on the PDQ server or my machine that I use, the client app? Thanks, Anthony C.
Okay. You,
The-
I would flush the server.
yeah.
But there's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And that's probably scavenging at this point. Yeah.
Well, and also, VPN is one of those things, and remember, we were talking about this yesterday
Yeah.
about DHCP relay. If you have the opportunity to have any sort of like hardware device that does either IP helper or DHCP relay, and you can shove your Windows DHCP servers out through
Absolutely.
that, try and do that. When you come up with a hardware refresh, make sure that that's a requirement of whatever hardware you're going to get that's your VPN gateway, so that you can do that.
Yeah. Then when you connect to VPN, that device is gonna actually register that with the DNS and keep that somewhat clean.
Yep, and to answer your question, you want to do it on the PDQ server.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's going to, when you flush that DNS cache, it's going to pull that information again from the DNS server, and hopefully that DNS server has updated information. If you use the DHCP relay through your VPN device or your gateway device and pull that back in, it's going to be much easier to do that because your DNS will automatically be updated.
And then final note on that is your client console is just a window looking at the server. So
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep. So yeah, you don't need to do it on that one. Cool. All right, so covered PTR, and let's see.
Zone transfers.
Zone transfers.
Zone transfers.
Zone
Okay,
transfers.
I get confused. Zone
Okay.
transfers, conditional forwarders, all that. Okay.
Conditional forwarders.
Conditional
stub zones.
Yeah, don't even
So
get
you
me
can do
there.
secondary
This
zones,
is why I
primary,
talked to him
secondary
about
stuff.
that. Okay, so zone transfers.
Yeah.
Use of a zone transfer.
Okay, zone transfers. So zone transfers you set those up in two different ways. Okay. Actually,
what would you have a zone transfer to be doing?
zone transfers all of the DNS information. Well, secondary zone transfers all of the DNS information from one server to another. So, for instance, in this one here, this is this is our AA AA labs. But I've only got this information here. But what I really want is I want to know what's in PDQ labs.
Okay.
Two totally separate domains, but I want to know what they are. So I've got this DC up here. So I've got PDQ labs. So what I want to do is I want to transfer all of this DNS information here, everything in this this window, over to my AA Labs computer. That way I don't have to worry about having to type in. If I do an Nslookup for something that's in the PDQ Labs.org domain from an AA Labs.org domain, I'll be able to see it.
Now, do you have to have the fully qualified
Nope.
name? Okay.
That's
so
the
that's
beauty
the beauty
of
of
this.
that one.
Yes. All right. So what I'm going to do is I've already obviously set this up, but I just want to show you how to do this zone transfers. This is not okay. This is
Why is that not okay?
Do not do
Bad?
that.
Bad?
Yes, bad. Yeah, you just want to make this as secure as possible. So just
Absolutely.
make sure that you only the following servers is my recommendation.
Okay.
That'll avoid some confusion. Yeah, and then
Do it good, not bad.
Yes, yes. Do not do what I do. Do what I said. And then these here are the IP addresses for the AA Labs DCs. So they're unable to resolve it, obviously, because they're just IP addresses. Then you always use IP addresses on this case. So I'm going to say every time that this zone updates, regardless of what happens, every time that serial number is incremented, notify these servers of the change and send over a copy. So click OK on that and apply. Blah.
Okay, so
So that's setting it up.
Okay, so in like beyond lab world, right? It's like I've got domain 1, domain 2. I can send forwarders so that my console, I no longer have to. I can start pinging direct to the other domains there.
Yeah. Now it needs to be network routable.
Okay,
that
is a good point.
And then we'll talk about if they're not, what you can do. Okay. So here, what I want to do is I want to say, all right, I want a new zone. So I'm going to do a secondary zone because it's not a primary zone because that primary would be alabs.org, and I don't want to do a stub zone. Difference here is stub zone will only give me the name server information, so I don't want to do that. I want actually the whole thing so that I'm not increasing the amount of traffic that I've got going over the network. So I'm going to take actually a copy of that entire secondary zone over. Stub zone, great. If you've only got a smaller network, not a lot of traffic, that works fine. All right, so secondary zone, and then this has to be the exact same name. So
don't be pulling a Lex and typing
or
it
a brig because we're bad. Okay.
PDQ
Double check.
Labs,
There we go.
Looks like it's there.
Looks like it. And then, the master server.
If you really have this in your mental Rolodex?
I think. I hope so.
Game on.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, wow. Okay. That with your 1912 RFC, whatever it is.
Yes. All right. So now it created this zone here. So you'll see that it creates this zone here. And then we should already, if I click on that, boom.
Okay, how long does it take to populate out?
On a relatively fast network, it's almost immediate.
Okay.
It really is. You create the zone, and then it asks and transfers that over almost immediately. So it's actually, as you can see, it's fast. Now, if I make any change, if I make any change here, it doesn't apply. Obviously, it doesn't backwards. But if I make any changes in ptqlabs.org, it'll update that. It
flows this way.
Yeah, and that will take some time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not immediate. It can be, but there's typically up to an hour wait. Okay, so let's see. So that's zone transfers. So now, if I were to do an Nslookup from here, if I were to do an Nslookup, on this for anything that's in PTQ Labs, I'd totally be able to see that.
You get okay.
Yeah, I get.
I hear we have a question.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this is a question from me. Hey, from Shane.
All right.
Hi, Shane.
DNS suffix and DNS suffix search order.
Yep.
So, and this is not a scripted question, everybody. I'm putting Brig on the spot here.
Oh, thanks,
Brig.
just me like this.
Do you prefer to manage the DNS suffix from group policy or from DHCP? Defend your answer.
Ooh.
This is your thesis, Brig.
Oh, I have to come up with a scenario for each.
I should state that this is important for those of our customers that have multi-domains.
Yeah.
A lot of them just have a single domain, but those of you that have multiple domains, this DNS suffix search order can be important in resolving some of these issues.
It can. We use group policy here. I would probably prefer group policy simply because, but DHCP has its place too.
See,
I would say group policy has its place in like more flat forest organization or a single forest. If you've got multiple domains, then you definitely would want to use the DHCP option because that is how you're going to get. Obviously, group policy is not going to apply outside of a forest, whereas DHCP will. DHCP applies to anything that's connecting up to it. So that would be, I would say it would depend, but both would have their place.
I'm just shaking my head.
If you are strictly Active Directory, I tend to use the group policy.
Really?
I have used the the global options in DHCP when they're not in an AD. But I'm just curious because you know more about DNS than I do. But I've seen DNS suffix search orders, just the search order itself, and the fact that sometimes they're missing, screw up connecting to multi-domain targets before.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we actually use DHCP.
Yeah.
Scope options. That's right. I remember. Yep. Another group policy, but that's because we've got multiple discrete domains that we use.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a little different. Routable on the network, discrete domains. But yeah, the group policy is. Group policy is just such a. It's like a you shall not pass. It's good stuff.
Let's hit another question.
Oh.
Dear Lex and Brig, I have DNS aging and scavenging set up for 7 days. However, why am I still seeing records that can go back the last 2 years? Why will it leave records from the past years? Scavenging Stale Resources Records is checked. Thanks, Chris G.
All right, a couple of things here. If you're seeing stuff that goes back 2 years and the machine is no longer exists in the network, then scavenging is not working. That would be my first thing. Scavenging is not working. Because when you have a machine, it updates itself every 24 hours. It says like, "Hey, I'm still here," and the DNS server goes, "Yay!" And your IP address? Okay, cool. Everything's fine, and that will continue on. Scavenging has to be set up in 3 places. It has to be set up on the actual record. Yeah, I'm going to show you here. So we have to set it up here on the record. Oh, sorry. You want to go to View, Advanced, and then go to Properties, and then you'll see delete this record. Well, I can't do it on this one because I don't own that zone. Let's try it on a real record, shall we? All right. Here we go. So delete this record when it becomes stale. Perfect. On that one. And then I also have to do it on the, I think it's a forward. No, or is it the?
I think, isn't it the zone there?
The actual zone.
Yeah.
Yep. So aging here and scavenge these resource records. And then you also have to set it at the actual server level. So you only need to do this on one of your servers. And we've covered this in
a previous webcast. We did cover this, but yeah, gotta have those 3 spots. Otherwise,
advanced. So you want to go to the advanced tab on the server, and then it's down here. So
make sure all 3 of those guys are taken care of.
Yep. Otherwise, it won't work. So we it's explained in detail, and I think it's the first video that we did. That you and I did on DNS. Explained like exactly how to set up scavenging so that it works, because it is, and then even what codes to look for in your DNS logs. Scavenging is one of those things where it's not immediately intuitive. It's fair. Microsoft did a pretty good job of making sure that they protect you from yourself, so you don't do bad things. But we still do.
Oh yeah.
I still do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Seems
So
to make it a foolproof if find a better fool. Right?
Exactly. You're like, oh yeah, I can get around that.
So okay, we talked zones. I want to know about more of the conditional forwarders.
Okay, I'm just going to kind of show you this because it's
here as a touch point.
Yeah. And then you just new conditional forwarder here, and then you do like the name. So I did like PDQ.
Okay, so what exactly happens with the forwarder?
What it does is it says like, oh, okay, so you're part of this domain. I'm going to forward all of this requests over to this name server. So a stub zone.
So you're not actually collecting the records.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, it's just you're forwarding any information that goes from here to here.
Okay.
So this is really good if you have domains that are discrete and not routed on a network and even different geographical locations. So say like lex.com and brig.com. I decide to purchase lex.com. I purchase it, but I don't want to make it part of my forest because gross. So what? I know. Sorry.
No. Okay.
So, I still want to be able to like resolve all of lex.com internal stuff. So I'm like, all right, just go ahead and set up this.
When it looks for lex.com, go get your resolution from my server.
Yep, exactly. So that would be a conditional forwarder, but
that would be a good instance to do that.
Yeah.
Other instances, man, I don't know. I can't think of any other good
zone
ones.
transfers
off the top
are
of my
like
head, but yeah,
the best. Secondary zones and stub zones if you want to if you don't really care about like network traffic. So
if you don't really care about network
traffic, yeah, just like stub
I
zones.
always care about that.
That might I do too.
All right. Hey, do we got any more questions?
Yeah.
Dear Lex and Brig, what is the easiest way to fix name mismatch issues on a few hundred endpoints? We have a very large network. Sincerely, Robert B.
Oh, Robert.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
Set up
Scavenging.
I was gonna say
Set up scavenging. Yeah. You want to do this on. Okay, you can be really aggressive with your scavenging numbers.
Yeah.
And that could be really bad. But if you know.
might be good for the initial hit.
Yeah,
and then
for
you
the
turn
initial
it-
hit. Yeah. Because you can do like scavenge now. I believe. Let me cancel out of that. It's been a while. Scavenge Stale Resource Records. So if you click on Scavenge Stale Resource Records and you have scavenging set up appropriately, you can do that, and you can, but they have to be stale first. So what you want to do is you want to set it. You can set it. Microsoft allows you to do hours now. Wow. So you can set the no refresh interval and then the refresh interval down to hours, and then over a weekend you can do the scavenge the resource records.
They'll probably take care of you, but I would definitely set it back because that's going to be a lot of traffic, and it's going to be. Yeah.
You've got a few hundred endpoints on there.
You're probably okay, but still set it aggressive over the weekend, then switch it back.
Yeah, and you can also do it manually too. You can look at the DHCP server and see like, what's this machine, what's this IP address, but that's kind of I know, Jordan, do you have any like
Can you
PowerShell?
automate that, man?
Can you automate that?
PowerShell?
So you could just like bloop, just some sort of like PowerShell magic.
And I want that. You need to have that bloop sound
Yes.
when it's
the
done.
bloop sound. So, I mean, as far as fixing the mismatch in the first place, I'm not super great with that kind of DNS. If it's as easy as you're looking to flush, there is a clear DNS, but that's not gonna
I don't want
fix
to
the
take care
mismatch
of
at
it.
all.
Won't fix it, but it'll flush the DNS.
It's going to be a scavenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
gonna
Aggressive
be
scavenging
Yep.
or sneaker net.
Yeah, and then if you do the aggressive scavenging, don't forget to change it back to something that's more reasonable. after you're
Yes,
done, because
that's the big.
that could be bad. Yeah, because you could really, yeah. Oh,
Have fun.
Speaking of scavenge, someone said when they turned on scavenging, it started deleting static records. They didn't think that was possible. Is that?
I would be curious about that, about static records,
It
because I've
shouldn't.
not seen that. I've not seen that
shouldn't.
happen.
Static records, you got to build them by hand, don't you?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. I would be curious about that. It also it is possible because
Is it? Wow,
yeah,
okay.
because you can actually have a static record that's created not by hand, but set statically within the DNS server. That's not really static.
All right, man.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's
So-
an out there one, huh? You've seen it? It's possible.
I have
but-
seen it. You don't set it as static. It is just set as static
Oh,
by
really?
the server. Yeah, so I have seen that.
We got any more questions?
And also want to thank Andres R. for his question that you guys answered without even having to ask the question.
Oh,
so
perfect.
well done.
Thanks, man.
Dear Lex and Brig, we have 3 domains in our forest. Should DNS replication under the forward and reverse lookup zones be set to all DNS servers running on domain controllers in this forest? Our reverse zones are set to all domain controllers in this domain. Thanks, Matthew L.
I would think you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 domains at the forest.
Just you don't
DNS
want
replication. Yep.
just thinking secure wise. As long as it's in the domain, yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're okay. But
Yeah, because it's only going to replicate those zones to all just those domain controllers in the domain, which are necessarily have to have DNS. So yeah,
Yeah.
that should work.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Any more?
Oh, I want to get out of this screen.
You want to get out of that screen?
There. All right.
Dear Lex and Brig, I have a network that utilizes a Cisco Meraki MX80 as a DHCP server. Is there a way to dynamically update the DNS record much like you can if you utilize a Microsoft DHCP server? Jeremy O.
You'd have to go to Cisco for that, wouldn't you? Find
Yeah.
out if it'll DHCP relay that?
Yeah. Well, I highly doubt that you'd be able to actually do that with if you're using Windows Active Directory DNS. Simply because security, it'd be like, oh, okay, I don't know. You could probably pass that on to DHCP server, but I don't know about Cisco Meraki devices at all, whether or not they do a DHCP relay. But that would be kind of the same answer that earlier, like if it does DHCP relay, use that.
Definitely use it. But
And if not, when you do a hardware refresh, just make sure that that's one of your requirements on there.
Yeah, there's go to the settings and in that one, you might want to open a support ticket. But with that device, you can specify other DNS servers, and there's also some DHCP options that you can look at to work if you don't want to use the native DNS there, but you want to work with Microsoft. I would look in those options. There's probably going to be some communication setting that you're going to have to use. You might want to open a ticket. We don't have that device here, but we're happy to help guide you through some of those options, and then maybe we could learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're starting to use third party, they usually have some communication system to dynamically update. It's just usually another little process that you have to enable.
yep. Configuration of some sort.
IP helper, DHCP relay, something.
We do have a comment in the chat on that where there's someone that says they run several of those, and he says he's fairly well versed, and he doesn't believe that is that's possible.
Oh, wow. Hardware refresh?
It's too bad.
Thank you to Caleb.
Yeah.
Cool.
You could do that, or you could. Never mind.
Yeah,
I'm not even. No.
yeah,
no.
no,
We're
don't
good.
go there.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. Life is good.
Yep.
Yeah. Another question?
Dear Lex and Brig, what is the lowest recommended refresh and no refresh interval? I am in an 800-ish endpoints environment. Thanks, Brian W.
Lowest I would recommend is 3 on the no refresh, 2 on the refresh, and scavenging. Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah, probably 3 to
But
7.
generally, doesn't it also depend on your DHCP
Yeah.
release
Times.
time?
See, that's the thing.
To give a standard answer, 3 is definitely the lowest I've gone, but it really does come down to your release times, and if you have more devices than IP addresses, and therefore you need to have a little bit more of aggressive release time.
yeah.
Yep.
But that answer really needs to be
That
mapped
depends.
to the lease time.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's for the standard. Oh, yeah, I did click on that. And that would be for the standard, I think, the 8 days that comes out of the box. That would be the most aggressive that I would do. Another thing, and we've gone over this before. Oh, it would be helpful if I click on the right thing. No, I did click on the right thing. Is it the scope? I can never remember. Oh, that's right. I have to do that first. Okay, if you look at the scope and then you do DNS here, we've got this configured. I'm just going to, I'm not going to do that. You always want to make sure that this dynamically update DNS records. Yeah, you circle that.
right there.
You want to make sure that that's set on your DHCP server. That way, DHCP server then owns the records rather than the client.
Exactly.
And so that'll be a lot better.
So yeah, it's kind of a depends. What do you got that set at,
Yeah.
and then you got to balance them.
Yep.
So
Yeah, 3 is the minimum that I would do. You can be really aggressive with your DHCP and just do like 1 day. You can even do in the hours, but I would not recommend that. Yeah, I would definitely.
Brig.
Yeah.
What is, I'm going to put you on the spot again.
Okay.
Can you name, it doesn't have to be the worst, but can you name, without naming names, a customer ticket that's come in where their DNS was so poorly configured? What's the one thing you would say, oh my gosh, this one is so, just, there's the old saying, you know what you want, but if you don't know what you want, you better sure as hell know what you don't want.
Yeah. Oh, actually, the worst ticket was a multi-domain, multi-forest ticket that we had that took a long time to resolve. It was all DNS. It was conditional forwarding.
Mm-hmm.
There was conditional forwarding involved. There were zone transfers that were involved. Domain names.
Mm-hmm.
Or multiple domains. Suffixes.
did they have a host file? Because I had one like
They did not have a host file.
They had a host
They did
file.
not
that
have
was
a host
just-
file.
Yeah.
That was certainly the most complicated, and so it was the most problematic. The administrator absolutely knew what they were talking about, but in most regards. But yeah, it was definitely like DNS was like, whoa, this is sort of a mystery. It's like the black box of like how things were going. So yeah, it was a little different. But that was the most difficult. And then there have been some that host files.
It's usually host files the ones I
Yeah.
always found. I was like,
let's
check your host file.
Yeah, you're troubleshooting this after for like 6 or 7 hours, and you're just like, wait a second, do you have a host file? Let's look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, there are entries there. Why? Yeah. So there's kind of 2, but 1 specifically. That was a rough one. That was good though.
Yeah. Last question, I think.
Okay, last question. All right.
And our final question and final fond farewell to Shakakal. I will be changing roles soon and wanted to thank you guys for the support and have highly recommended this webcast to the new PDQ guys since it provides a lot of great info. Do you think I'll get PDQ withdrawal? Probably from bad puns and expensive alcohol. I think there's a 12-step program for this. Really, I do.
I think the first thing is you start spelling like me.
Yeah.
That's the first withdrawal.
Yep.
Second withdrawal, you start having to do things manually.
And then you lose the hair,
And
that's happened. That's happening to me.
and then you start drinking more.
Falls out. Yeah. You will get PDQ withdrawal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I might recommend that even though his job no longer ties into using PDQ, still show up at the webcast and join the conversation.
There you, get your fix for the week, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whatever you do, please do not poison the well about Lex.
Nobody needs
the
to,
New,
just-
let the new person figure it out for themselves. You'll be able to enjoy their facial expressions.
Oh, that's right. I saw on the calendar today.
Yeah.
Whipping Boy. I forgot it's Whipping Boy Day for me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, 53 Shades, Whipping
3
Boy.
Shades. Oh, yeah. Dig,
bad
Groper,
pun.
domain,
Bind.
bind.
Oh,
Yeah. It's all.
So many bad.
All right.
Bad ones.
Oh, and thanks for your call. I really
Thanks, Shagal. Hey, we're gonna miss you, man. We don't want to miss you. Keep watching.
Yeah,
man.
keep watching. Did we cover everything?
I think we got it.
Forwarders?
I mean, there's always more,
Yeah, there's always more. It's DNS.
but that's what we got today
The
for you
eternal
guys. So,
all right. Good. All right.
so remember, if you think there's a problem, it's probably DNS.
Yep.
And if you don't think there's a problem, it's still
Still gonna
DNS.
be DNS.
So yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for watching,
Right.
guys. I'm Lex.
Thanks. And I'm Brig. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining our webcast today. Congratulations, Anthony C. and Chris G., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@pdq.com. And also, Shaka Call, we're going to send you some swag and some swag for the new guy. You got to set him out on the right plane, okay? And thanks again for joining us. If you have any other questions, feel free to hit up our support forums. And we'll see you again next week.